I want to give you a snapshot of what the millennials and Gen Zs are living on a daily basis. Number one is going to be the job market and this looming recession. That's putting uncertainty on millennials and Gen Zers, especially the younger crowd who is just graduating college, who just invested tens of thousands of dollars and now can't find a job, or even if they just got a job, they're in fear of being laid off. That's creating a little uncertainty. And with this uncertainty, it's creating a whole slew of problems. And the biggest one on the top of the list is our birth rate. Even the Wall Street Journal recently did an article that our US fertility rate was lower in 2023 than any year since 1979. And I wanted to do some research and figure out why this is. But I did a poll on my Instagram and 2,200 people answered this poll. And 49% of people who can have children right now are not choosing to do it because of the fear of the economy and because of their finances. And another 17% said that they're not having children because of the uncertainty of the future. That could be the foreign wars, that could be our political divide, democracy, AI coming for our jobs, or just the economy getting worse in general. But 66% of people who can have children aren't having children because of finances and our fear of the future. The other thing that's really burdening us, what I think everyone's pretty aware right now, is the housing market. In the past 4 years since the pandemic, the housing prices have gone up 40 to 60%, which is wonderful for those of you who own a house because your net worth went up. You can now borrow more money if you want to, but for every single person who did not own a house before this happened is essentially locked out. It has become a luxury. In most places in the country, you need over $100,000 to even consider buying a home, and even then in some cities, that's still going to make you house poor, which isn't a good idea. You need more like $130,000 to $150,000 to buy the average house to feel good about. So how many Americans under 40 are really making that kind of money? It has become a luxury. And because housing has become a luxury, where are people forced to live? They're forced to rent. And if they're forced to rent, they're forced to pay whatever the rent prices are. And rent prices have gone up 32% since the pandemic. So even your Gen Z or grandchild or your child who's 29, 30, 32 years old is living in a 2-bedroom apartment with a bachelor's degree with 2 children and cannot buy a house. This is something that needs to be addressed. So we need to keep having a conversation with each other so that we can address these problems, because without addressing these problems over the past 30 years, look what happened, boomers. No one fixed the housing supply. When they saw that it was a disaster in 2012, they allowed private equity to come in and start buying up houses. That could have been stopped. They could have done something about the Social Security disaster way earlier. They didn't. They saw that the birth rates were starting to go down. We saw that the college debt was continuing to increase and people weren't getting jobs at the value that they should have. The national debt, you watched it over 30 some years go from $4 trillion to $35 trillion and no one did anything about it because you didn't have the ability to communicate like we can. Now we're calling out the bullshit. We just want to live a chill life. We just want to buy a house, have some kids and hang out. And we want to go on vacation for 4 days and not sit around and go, this is going to end soon. Am I going to have a job when I get back? How am I going to pay my mortgage? This is why we need to make a change in this country and we need to work together.